Hey guys, this is Fernando Alvarez, and welcome to the very first podcast episode of the Weekly Real Estate Show. Today, I'm here with Luis Renteria, who is a loan officer. First of all, Luis, tell us about yourself.
Tell everybody about Luis Renteria. Well, where do I go with this? Luis Renteria is a husband.
Who's the
Luis
man
Renteria is
behind the
a
mic?
husband, father, son, mortgage pro that really loves to help people and is thrilled to be on here. So thanks for the invite. What about what
Hey,
about
my
you?
pleasure.
Wasabi with Fernando. I know you've been traveling a lot, so
Well,
you gotta tell us about it. You've been running a lot too, like full marathons.
absolutely, yeah. I actually combined both. Just about 3 months ago in October, I went to Europe. I ran the Amsterdam Marathon. Um, Now I'm back and I'm training for another marathon, so that will be taking place in the near future. And then hopefully there's another Europe trip in the works in the near future as well.
Amsterdam. Wow. What's that? I mean, tell it, you got to share a little bit about that, right?
You know, Amsterdam is whatever you imagine it to be. It is definitely that. It's interesting in so many different ways. The people are diverse. I mean, pretty much every night you go out, you see things transpiring. There's music. There's people out and about smoking cigarettes everywhere you go. It was definitely an interesting experience. And while I was out there, I was able to also visit Brussels, Paris, and Barcelona. And what I liked about Europe is everything's so connected. You can take a train and go from country to country.
Wow, what a trip. That is in no pun intended, because I know you were in Amsterdam, right? Tripping
Uh,
out, drugs. No.
yeah.
No.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Cool, Luis. Well, the reason I wanted to bring you on today is, a lot has transpired over the past 12 months. And in that time, we've seen interest rates rise incredibly high in comparison to what we're used to, the market softening up. So many things have transpired since then. So I want to talk to you today about predictions for the upcoming year. What's going to happen in 2023? Does that
Let's
sound
do
good?
it.
All right, let's get into it. So first of all, what would you say is one prediction you have for the upcoming year?
Well, the easiest one, I mean, for this year, and it's already happening, is higher unemployment. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you heard what happened with Microsoft, right?
Okay.
10,000 employees. And
Yeah, and that's one of many who've already laid
right,
people off.
right. Especially here in the Silicon Valley, it is insane. It is insane. I mean, you got what Salesforce? I know already had a round of layoffs,
Mm-hmm.
and who was it? God, I just read about it. Yeah,
Twitter had
that's the
like three
one. I said
rounds.
Twitter. Yeah.
Meta, Facebook had a big amount that they cut off as well, and Amazon and some others as
So
well.
yeah, unemployment. Clearly, that's not a prediction because it's already happening. How much? How much more? That's hard to say.
What do you think with the unemployment that's taking place, specifically in Silicon Valley or in other parts of the country, especially areas that are more tech focused? What do you think the ramifications are going to be for those areas?
Well, we know that supply is still very low, so the demand is up.
Mm-hmm.
Builders haven't been able to catch up on new construction. We are in the middle of the of being in the where we have the two largest demographics in U.S. history. You got the baby boomers that are living longer, and you have the millennials that
Mm-hmm.
are they're 30, 31, 32, and they want to start a family. So for that, they need housing. So you got the two largest demographics in US history, millennials and baby boomers that need housing. I mean, I think the demand's going to continue.
Let me ask you about that because that's actually something that I had noted down about millennials, right? Do you think that they still have the same desire to own a place as, say, older generations? Because I've read at different publications and whatnot that a lot of millennials they actually like renting and being flexible and being able to get up and go whenever they want versus being tied to a house in however way you describe it.
I see how that can seem like it's what they want, what they prefer, but think about it. Once you have kids, things change. So maybe 31, 32,
Mm,
33 once they have kids, they need to set some roots because of the schools, because of the friends. And
mhm.
I say this from experience. Like we didn't really
Yeah.
care where we lived as long as we were close to family.
Hmm.
But once we had our two kids, then it was like, all right, now we need to really settle down and settle into something. So, so yeah, once family starts growing, that's when things tend to change and they'll want a place of
Hmm.
their own.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes total sense. And I think the thing too is, as I've been, obviously going to different seminars and events with regards to real estate investing, even if they don't have a family, there's house hacking that they can get started with. There's what they call long distance investing, where you're investing out of state when you're in a market like us, like Silicon Valley, where everything's really expensive. So maybe they might not look for a home in the traditional sense. Maybe some will, some won't. But there's still other opportunities out there for them to invest or at least purchase real estate.
Right. Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The opportunities are endless. However, it's not as emotional. When you have your kids, that is emotional
Mhm.
and that will lead the way.
Yeah, absolutely. That's always going to be the number one reason why people do want to purchase something, for them to actually own it, live in
Mhm.
it. Paint the walls or whatever colors they want, design it to their
Right. Or
taste and
even
whatnot.
just neighborhood kids, right? Your kids start having, their own
Hmm.
little circle of friends, their little lives. And and imagine if you're renting and then the landlord says, "Hey, actually, I'm going to sell that house. So you have 60 days to vacate." What are you going to tell your kids as a parent? Like, oh my God, now we have to uproot my kids, my family, and move them, even if it's just down the street, even if it's just a couple of miles away. That circle of friends that they start to develop as kids, that kind of gets broken. And as a parent, we want to maintain that stability for our kids. So that's why home ownership is by far one the best investment ever. Two, it's just that peace of mind. That's
Mm,
a big one. So that's why I
absolutely.
think that.
I mean,
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, and I think we both know it. Home ownership really is like the number one way to build some wealth, some generational wealth. I think I read something years ago that most of the billionaires or millionaires, that they generated their wealth through real estate more than any other type of investment.
Yeah, absolutely. Real estate is, yeah, that's I love that you said building wealth because it's not just about buying that first home. It's about building wealth. It's about the generational wealth that excuse me, that you start building.
Mhm.
It's more than just a home. It's bigger than that.
Absolutely. There's a lot of tie-ins with regards to owning a property. But let's talk a little bit about that. Let's make another prediction with regards to the home ownership process, which is, you are always confronted with a certain rate. It's never going to be 0%, right? It's always going to be some percent. For the longest time, as we remember, it was around 3%, sometimes hovering
Yeah.
below 3%, usually never more than 4%. But obviously, last year rates sped past 5 and past 6%, threatened to get to 7%. Obviously, it's not there today. It's lower today. It's probably, I believe, somewhere in the fives today. What are your predictions for rates moving forward?
Rates. I'm thinking mid year, May or June, we're going to see some improvements. And that's evident with the higher unemployment that we're seeing now. So that's going to cause inflation
Hmm.
to basically come to a halt. And we all know
Okay.
that inflation is the number one enemy of mortgage interest rates. So as
Hmm.
inflation starts to settle down, the mortgage interest rates are going to drop. Now, with unemployment on the uptrend, the Federal Reserve is going to have to they're going to have to do what's called a Fed pivot, where instead of continuing to raise the Fed funds rate, they're going to either pause or they're going to start dropping that rate because it's too much. This higher interest rate is costing
Hmm.
companies way too much, and that's why they're not reinvesting. They're hanging tight because it's too expensive to say take out a loan. I mean, and you can take this to a very small business level where they need a new machinery or new equipment, and they can't they can't afford it because the interest rate's so much higher. So they're going to hold off, and then that causes those producers of that product to not have a job because they're not selling, and then the cycle just kind of escalates. And I'm sharing this because it's this Fed funds
Mhm.
rate has such a big effect on the economy, and I think the Federal Reserve is making a mistake. They need to stop. That's it. That's it. Everything's trending back down in terms of inflation, and it's time for rates to
Mhm.
drop. And that's why I feel that May or June, by then, the mortgage interest rates are going to be they're going to be mid fours or low fours is my prediction.
What's interesting about that is so earlier today I was showing property to a client of mine. We went to a new construction
Hmm.
home builder, and obviously the conversation with almost any purchase today is, hey, I do want to purchase this home. This is my budget. Obviously, if rates were better, I could afford more
Right.
home, right? And as we were talking, right, we were talking about arms, because I think today a lot of people are leaning towards arms, right? And I think she had mentioned that one of her, I believe one of her clients got in at a 7-1 arm at 5%. And right in today, okay, 5%, that's pretty good. But you know what? 7 years, it's going to definitely get below 5% sooner or later. And like you had mentioned, it could happen as early as
Oh,
this year.
absolutely. And to that, there's another product that I'm using a lot. It's called a 3-2-1 buy down, and I'm pretty sure you've seen all the memes
Okay.
and all the
Yeah.
yeah.
Tell us about it.
So 3-2-1 buy down just means that instead of that 7% interest rate, the first year it's going to be 4%. The second year is going to be 5%. Third year, 6%. And then finally, if by year number 4 you don't refinance, you're going to end up with back to a 7% interest rate. Now, here's the key. Okay. One, the seller. It's most of the time, 80% of the time, it's seller paid. So the seller pays
Hmm.
for that buy down. And on a $1 million home, for instance, it's going to cost about, let's just say $35,000. Okay. So you got $35,000
Okay.
that, in a matter of speaking, goes into an escrow account. So your interest rate
Hmm.
is still that 7%, but you're paying 4%. And every month, that difference in payment gets drawn from that $35,000 escrow account. Okay. So that's how you end up with that lower payment. It's temporary. Now, let's just say in
Hmm.
6 months you refinance. Okay. Because the rates drop to 3%. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That'd be
So
sweet.
you only used up, say, $5,000 worth of that $35,000 that you have in that escrow account.
Hmm.
Well, guess what? You get that $35,000 back. It reduces your principal. So it's not money lost. Like when you do a 7-1
Hmm.
arm and you're paying points or you're doing something to that effect. Well, yeah, that's money lost. This is different. This is a 3-2-1 buy down. You basically have the seller pay for the difference in interest rate for the first the first 3 years
Hmm.
in a 3-2-1 buy down. So it's an amazing program. It's yeah.
See, I didn't know that last part, that, like you just said, it's not money lost, right? Because you finance, you didn't want to wait till the end of the 3 years. And like you said, that money, whatever's left over, 30K or however much is left, can go down to the principal. So that's a win-win, because the seller, I mean, that's already money they contributed to you, and you can basically keep it and do as you please at that
Right.
point.
Exactly. So we've had cases where everything gets negotiated to say a million or
Hmm.
970,000, right? And we say, you know what?
Yeah.
We'll counter it at $1 million, but we want a seller
Hmm.
credit to cover those that buy down, and it works. And appraisals are fine. I mean, I haven't, knock on wood, I haven't had
Hmm.
any issues with values. So
Have you encountered any resistance from sellers or builders with regards to offering credits? Because to be honest with you, I have. I've had a few at the moment that I've been negotiating. I'm asking for a credit, not the 3-2-1 buy down, but just a general try to buy down some points. And it's interesting. Some sellers and some builders, for one reason or the other, don't want to provide any kind of credits. They'd rather just negotiate on price.
Yeah. No, I haven't had any issues. Usually we, again, with my realtor partners, we bring down the price a little bit. It gets negotiated. And once that's done, okay, let's move up a little bit in price to create that seller concession. So kind of do it separately in two steps.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, let's talk about pricing. What are your thoughts with regards to prices in 2023? We saw obviously that for the longest time, prices were going up and up and up, and it just like it would never stop, right? 10%, 20% over list price in many situations here in Silicon Valley. And then towards the end of the year, things started to change. Now you can get homes at list price, below list price. Sometimes sellers are doing multiple price reductions on the market for many weeks, sometimes multiple months. What are your thoughts moving
Oh,
forward, specifically if rates start to go
oh
down
my God.
again?
Do I have thoughts on that? You know what? And this really pisses me off. Excuse my language. This makes me
Yeah.
very angry.
Okay.
Look, the media is horrible at this. They're very
Uh-huh.
good on doom and gloom, and it's ridiculous. Real estate depreciates 20% in the last 4 months. Well,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if you take the last 4 months of the year, yes, we did have 20% of depreciation. But the next line, and this is ridiculous. I'll send you this article. It's
Mm-hmm.
CNBC,
Okay.
or
I'll link it
yeah.
below. I'll link
So
it below.
you go just to the first opening line. Okay. Year over year,
Mm-hmm.
appreciation has been 8.6%. So hold on. That headline doesn't match the first opening line of this article. So, yes,
Yeah.
20% depreciation the last 4 months. But if you look at the whole year, yeah, it's still there's still appreciation. So, real estate, I don't feel is a 2 month, 3 month. It's not trading.
Mm-hmm.
This is a long term. You're
Yeah.
in it for at least 3 years. If you're going to invest in real estate, if you're going to buy a home, don't expect anything the first year or the second year. It's the third year. Then you're going to start to see some appreciation. I mean, even if you have that, 10% appreciation the first year, it's all going to go, and you want to sell, it's all
Mm-hmm.
going to go to the selling costs, right? You have all the
Mm-hmm.
realtor fees, escrow fees, transfer tax, all that stuff. So
Yeah.
why are we doing this? Why are we posting or even listening to this? "Oh, last four
Mm-hmm.
months depreciation, forget it. Like, so moving forward, I mean, we're not going to see 20, 30% appreciation. I think we're going to be a good 5, 6, 7, which is healthy. 5, 6% is amazing for real estate. But I'm just a lender. What are your thoughts on that?
No, you know what? No, you made a great point, and I agree with that because before it wasn't sustainable, right? Like, who could afford a home if the next year homes are 20% more expensive than they were the year
Mm-hmm.
earlier, right? And then we go back to we talked a little bit about investing as well, and people who want to get into investing in real estate to again build their wealth or create passive income or an alternative source of income. Nothing would cash flow at that point, right? Because you can only raise rents to such a level. And like you had mentioned earlier, right? If you look at something very short term, well, I want to flip a house. Okay, that's a different
Yes.
story. But right now, we're talking mostly for homes that you either want to purchase to own or maybe hold as a long term rental. And like you had mentioned, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, it's going to pay itself and then some. And I know sometimes, and you probably deal with this when people compare rents to your total mortgage with HOA costs and everything included, right? It doesn't equal out on paper, but when you add all the benefits and all the incentives and how it all kind of comes back to you with appreciation, with taxes, and a number of other benefits as well, it more than pays for
Fernando, are you
itself.
trying to trigger me, man? What are you doing? I That is my biggest, like, I don't even know. I don't even
It's
have
your bread and
words.
butter.
Pet peeve. Um,
Mm,
when you compare rent to own versus own, the payment,
hmm
mortgage payment versus rent. There's no
Yeah.
comparison because one, let's just take a $3,000 rent payment versus a 3,000,
Okay.
heck, a $4,000 mortgage payment.
Yeah, I think that's more realistic because if you look at it here in Silicon Valley, for $3,000, you're going to get I'd say a nice 2 bedroom, 2 bath apartment that
Hmm.
you can rent, or maybe I want to say nice, like a
Yeah,
good area,
decent.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
4,000. If you were to get a condo and you include taxes and HOA, interest and insurance, it would probably be around there if you put 20% down. That more than I do. That might be somewhere in the $600,000 range, or maybe 550 or whatnot. But that would be something
Yeah. So,
comparable.
but 4,000. So there's a difference, right? 4,000.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
renters or the tenants may be saying, "Oh my God, I'm going to have to pay $1,000 more a month." No, it's
Yep.
not worth it. Like it's more expensive to
Mm-hmm.
buy. But watch this. Listen closely.
Okay. Yeah. Let's check
So,
it out.
with having a home, you get to deduct your mortgage interest and your property taxes,
Mm-hmm.
and that reduces your adjusted gross income. Now, say you earn $200,000 a year, and your payment for the entire year, your mortgage interest deduction, and your property taxes and whatever other deductions, uh, total $50,000. So now, instead of paying taxes on
Okay.
200,000, you're paying taxes on 150,000, and that might pop you into a lower tax
Mm-hmm.
bracket. So there's huge benefit there. And let's just say it's $700 a month. It translates to about $700 a month. And then remember,
Mm-hmm.
you're paying principal down. So you're not just throwing money away.
Yep.
You're paying down a loan. So think of it as a forced savings account. Okay. Yeah.
That's a good way to
So
put it.
it's $600 a month. You're paying $600 a month to pay down the principal out of that, 3,000
Mm-hmm.
or $4,000 payment, because there you got taxes and insurance and all that. So,
Mm-hmm.
so now you're looking at, if you consider the benefit, you're looking at $2,800 in net payment after factoring in
Mm-hmm.
these two things, the mortgage interest deductions and the
Mm-hmm.
principal pay down. So, and that's not even talking about appreciation. That's completely separate. That's long term. Forget about that. I'm talking about just
Mm-hmm.
the tax benefit and the principal pay down. So, is it cheaper to rent or is it cheaper to own? Right?
I mean, the way you slice it, it obviously is cheaper to own. It's something that we preach quite a bit as real estate agents. And I'll add something else as well, right? There's also the pride of home ownership that doesn't have maybe a numerical value to it, but it definitely does have a value,
Absolutely.
right? And when you also think about being a renter, let's say you were to rent a 2 bedroom, 1 bath apartment as an example. Let's say you're paying same thing, $3,000 for that apartment. Well, you can't sublease it. I mean, you probably could if you ask, or see if it's possible, but it's not like you can just do it if you want. You can't do Airbnb. There's all these rules and
Right.
restrictions to be able to do as you please, or to generate extra income from that extra room if you wanted to, right? Now you own that place, right? Yeah, maybe the condo community might have some restrictions, but it's usually not as restrictive as when you're renting an apartment. You
Right.
can rent the room. Someone can be paying you $1,500, $2,000 a month, especially here in Silicon Valley,
Heck
to
yeah.
rent a room.
Hashtag house hacking.
You know what I mean? All of Right, house hacking. I used to have a client. I even tell you this. This was actually a single family house that they purchased a while back, and I believe they had purchased this house. I wanted to say it was around $600,000 or in the low 600s. Their mortgage payment, I think, was around $4,000. They
Oh.
converted the garage and like one extra room and rented it for 2,300. Their payment was 1,700 a month,
Uh-huh.
right? And then after a few years, sold it, moved to Gilroy, bought a ranch. Now looking to like even level up. So them doing that has created their path to
Yes.
wealth.
And it's scary at first. Like, I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was there as well when I bought my first home. I was scared. I was really scared. And once you get over that, then it's like, oh my God, I'm so glad I did it. Like after the first year, it's still like,
Mm-hmm.
what did I do? But after that first year,
What
after
am
you
I
get that
doing?
tax refund, you're like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, I can do this. Oh my God, how much is my home worth? Oh, nice. what? And it just snowballs after that. So yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's talk about the environment that we're in 2023 and moving forward. Sellers market, buyers market. What type of market do you think it's going to be? Is it a market that's more balanced than not? What are your thoughts on the environment and the market that we're either in or we're heading
I
towards?
really am enjoying where we're at right now. I feel it's a little bit more balanced. You go back and forth. We have
Mm-hmm.
loan contingencies on
Mm-hmm.
our offers. We have appraisal
Yep.
contingencies, inspection. It's normal. I think if the rates drop down to the low fours, you're going to have a seller's market again because there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
buyers sitting on the sidelines waiting for, something big to happen, but it's not happening. Um, as soon as the
Mm-hmm.
rates drop, there's going to be more buyers entering the market. More buyers enter the market. That's going to create more competition, more offers. And you know what happens when there's more offers? Price goes up. And yeah, it's people need to understand that buyers they're dabbling, they need to understand that things are going to, when they change and they shift and they realize that it's time, it may be too late. So got to understand right now, when not too many buyers are hot or excited about buying, this is when it needs to happen. You got to strike when the iron is hot. Right? That's a saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. It's like anything else, right? So you know who Cardone is,
Absolutely.
right?
Uncle
Right?
G.
Grant Cardone,
Uncle
big time real
GC.
estate investor,
Uncle
Uncle G,
GC.
right? So he says is one thing that I agree with them. He goes, I'm not looking to compete. I'm trying to find markets and opportunities where there's no competition or I can squash the competition. There's actually a great book out there called Blue Ocean Strategy. Have you
I have
ever heard of
not.
it or
I
came
have
across
not.
it? Look it up. So basically, the blue ocean, right? It's this big ocean,
Mhm.
right? And there's no one there to compete with. You're basically like you have opportunities everywhere, right? Versus if you're in a little pond and there's a bunch of fish in there, right? You have so much competition. So what I'm trying to get at is the market that we're in, say at the end of the year, where any buyer pretty much could have got in contract, got a good deal and whatnot. That was the best opportunity. Now what I'm seeing is I'm showing homes again, and now there's offer deadline dates again. Not on all the
Yeah.
properties I'm showing. There was a property today my client wanted to offer. First home we looked at yesterday,
Yeah.
6 offers pending over list price. And it's just like, whoa, did we miss that opportunity to get stuff at a screaming price? I have another colleague, had a property on the market for many months, right? Um, for some reason or another, the sellers didn't get the price that they wanted. Um, some price reductions took place, and now it's in contract. I believe she had multiple offers just recently, and it's almost like there's a turn in the market. And those that still feel there's a great opportunity, I say they got to hop on before May, June comes around, rates go down again, and people start looking in the typical spring and summer markets.
Absolutely. That's spot on. And I know the inventory did increase some
Mm-hmm.
this last week. I saw the reports. I think it went up 2.6%, or something like that. I sometimes get confused with all these
Mm-hmm.
figures and I don't have them in front of me right now. But I
Yeah.
believe it was at least 2%. So that, yes, there's more
Mm-hmm.
inventory. And I'm talking nationwide as well, just speaking
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah.
So that is going to cause the prices to drop a little bit, but as the rates drop, more people enter the
Mm-hmm.
market, and I think that's going to outpace what inventory comes on. So yeah, it's a great time to buy.
Absolutely. Let me ask you another question. I came across an article recently from
Uh-huh.
MBA, right? Mortgage Bankers of America, if I'm saying
Yeah,
that
yeah.
correctly, or Mortgage Brokers of America. Is it
Mortgage
is it that?
banking. I'm not sure. Uh-huh.
It's one of those, right? But it said week over week there was a 28% increase in
Okay.
mortgage applications, or 27.9% to be accurate. And so when I saw that, I go, wow, if there's a clear sign that the market is turning and improving, it's that, because nobody submits a loan app because they're bored.
Right, but you know what else is increasing? I've been getting a lot of requests.
Mhm.
Refi cash out. Ask me why.
Really? Why? Why would they do that
Consumer
right now?
debt. Okay. We're talking about monthly cash flow. So you
Okay.
have a
Yeah.
2.75% interest rate. Your payment is 3,000. You're comfy,
Okay.
but you went out and
Mhm.
racked up about $1,500 worth of monthly payments and credit cards, car payments.
Mhm.
And now your job is kind of, you're uncertain about your job. There's,
Mhm.
there's a lot of changes, right? They went through their
Yeah.
savings. So now what? You're paying $4,500 a month, or we can refinance and you
Mhm.
pay $3,900 a month. Yes, you're paying $900 more per month on your mortgage, but
Mhm.
overall, you're going to be saving about $700 a month, and that makes a big difference in households' monthly cash flow. So I'm getting
Well, that's the thing too. If you take out consumer debt and you take out a credit card and it's 12%, 14%, 18%, or other types of loans out there that you, for one reason or the other you needed or you just overspent, um, you know, wrapping that all up in something that's 5.5% isn't too
right,
bad in
and it's
comparison.
go to the Fred website. Just Google Fred,
Hmm.
Fred Federal Reserve or St. Louis Fred. And then in the
Okay.
search button or the search field, all you have to do is put consumer debt or credit card debt, and
Hmm.
it will pull all the stats. I mean, there's so much information out there for consumers. So we talk about this, we share this information, but we don't only share it, we provide you the
Hmm.
place where you can go research it. You can pull that data and confirm it. So
Hmm.
it's that trust. What is it? Trust me, but confirm. Trust but confirm.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh, there you
Trust
go.
but
There you go.
verify.
So trust but verify. So
Trust but
you go
verify.
there and you look at the graph, it's all whoop, like consumer debt, credit card debt.
Mm.
It just
Yeah.
during COVID, it dropped because everybody was home. They weren't spending too much. And then
Mm.
once everything
Mhm.
opened up, it just went through the roof. And that's going to have an effect. And that's the cash out refi. And the strategy right now is, hey, go ahead and cash out, pay off all your debt. That's like a
Mhm.
hard reset. And as soon as the rates drop, because the rates are going to drop,
Mhm.
it's not if they're going to drop, it's just a matter of time before they drop.
A
So then
matter of
that's when
time,
you
yeah.
refinance and then you adjust your payment back down and life is good.
Everything you mentioned is so true because I've been looking back over the last couple of years, and I'd mentioned to you, I got into running, done some other things, and whenever you get into a new hobby, you start buying a whole bunch of stuff, right? I buy running shoes, and I buy the running backpacks, and running shorts, and sign up for all these races and whatnot, right? But people have done that with other hobbies they picked up, whether it's through the pandemic or now that we're coming out of the pandemic. And next thing you know, right, something happens within their family
Right.
situation or their job situation, and then they realize they racked up a lot of debt, or they took out a lot from their savings for whatever reason, and now they got to find a way to kind of conserve that cash. And then, as you mentioned, it might be a good time to refinance based on all that debt that they accrued.
Yes. It's not a proud moment. I'll tell you, some of my clients are like, oh man, I know we got this, but I'd be more comfortable
Mhm.
with this. And
Yeah. And really, in the end, that's what we do. We provide
yes,
solutions.
that's it. That's it.
That's it, right? Well, Luis, anything else that you wanted to share with regards to this upcoming year, 2023? Any predictions? Anything else that you're looking forward to or that you think may take place or not take
Well,
place?
I have so much to share, but I want to end it on this. If you're a
Hmm.
buyer and you're sitting on the sidelines, you're waiting for this crash, it's not going to
Hmm.
happen. Talk to your mortgage lender and get fully pre-approved again and buy your home. Don't worry about it. I mean, the people that bought into, let's rewind to 2007. Okay. People that bought
Hmm.
into,
Yeah,
yeah,
2007. Yep.
2007, they bought their house for say $600,000 and it dropped to like $300,000 like in 2008.
Hmm.
And by 2000, what, 10, 11, it was already at 6. And now that same house is like 1.1 million. So don't, it's never a bad time to buy. Just get into your home and start taking advantage of the tax benefit of the principal. I mean, you're paying down the forced savings and then the
Mhm.
long-term appreciation. Do it. Just do it.
You know what? You know what? And it's interesting too, right? It's just like the stock market. We're not talking about an individual stock. When you invest in the S&P, right? It's going to go down like it's been down lately, but eventually it comes up because we're resilient, right? We always find a way to bounce back. And again, home ownership, I don't think it's something that's ever going to go away. It's something that's going to continue
Yeah,
to grow, and more people want to take part of it. So why not join the party when you have the
that's
opportunity to
right.
do so?
Couldn't have said it better.
Luis, where Luis, where could they contact you? Where could they reach out to you?
LuisRenteria.com. Pretty simple.
Perfect. And then you also have a YouTube channel, so I'll make sure to link that
Yeah.
below as well. And again, thank you so much for your time, Luis. Appreciate you
All right.
hopping
All
on
right.
today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, take care.